Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Ignition Time. There is a big shift, a big change in direction from the Republicans because the Republicans are now embracing some of the spending plans to fund infrastructure. As you know, the Republicans have been opposed to raising corporate income taxes. They've been opposed to pretty much every plan the Biden administration came up with when it comes to funding the infrastructure plan. But folks, in a new development, there could, I say could, because things are likely to change very quickly in Washington. The one thing about Washington, D.C. is that things happen slowly before they happen very quickly. But this could be an encouraging sign that we could see some bipartisan agreement on how to raise taxes and how to raise revenue in order to be able to pay for the infrastructure plan. This is potentially good news. Welcome to this episode of Ignition Time, everyone. If you learned something new from this episode of Ignition Time, please consider clicking the like button. Please subscribe and please enable notifications. Let's just jump right in. Let's start with new reporting from the Wall Street Journal. Bipartisan group backs a gas tax increase as an option to fund infrastructure. The Biden plan and the Republican plans, they've been at odds with each other, and essentially they're arguing about how we can pay for this infrastructure increase. But it does look like the Republicans are supporting an increase in gas taxes. In other words, their proposal is individuals who use the infrastructure, individuals who use the roads, who use the bridges, who use all the new infrastructure that's going to be developed should pay for using these facilities. And it looks like there could be support from both sides, from the Democrats as well as the Republicans. So here's the reporting from the Wall Street Journal. This group of 58 lawmakers, which is the Problem Solvers Caucus, you've heard me talk about the Problem Solvers Caucus elsewhere on our channel, proposed indexing gas and diesel taxes to inflation, highway construction costs, fuel economy standards, or some combination of the three in a report on infrastructure that was just released. The report lays out several possible fee increases, including a vehicle miles travel tax. In other words, the more you travel, the more tax you'll pay. That would collect revenue from electric vehicles, because the data from electric vehicles is very easy for the government to access, because data now is everything's getting digitized, specifically electric vehicles. Congress has not raised the gas tax, which stands at 18.4 cents a gallon since 1993. Here's a quote from Josh Gottheimer, who's a Democrat from New Jersey. He said this, the Congressman Josh Gottheimer: "We cannot afford 4 more years of crumbling bridges, roads and tunnels, lead-filled pipes and failed transportation, which is why the Problem Solvers Caucus is putting partisanship aside to find a solution that brings both parties to the table." Also, and this is really interesting, the Senate Republicans have in the past suggested that they will not under any circumstances be open to an increase in corporate income taxes. Remember, corporate income taxes were dropped all the way down to 21%. Under former President Trump's 2017 tax cuts, they were significantly higher. They were 35% prior to that. And what President Biden is proposing is to raise the corporate tax rate from 21%, which is where it is now, up to 28%. But new reporting has indeed emerged from Axios suggesting that certain key Republican senators will indeed be open to raising corporate income taxes. I'll get to that in just a second. Once again, if you're learning something new from this video, from this episode, please consider clicking like, subscribe, and enable notifications. That is how you can support our channel. Here's another interesting quote, this time from a Republican member of the Problem Solvers Caucus. This is Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick, who's a Republican from Pennsylvania. He said this: "The time is now for Congress and the administration to reach across the aisle, unite and boost investments in our surface transportation network that will move our transportation systems into the 21st century." Let me know whether you agree with this new approach from the Problem Solvers Caucus in the comment section below. Here's the headline of an article on your screen from Axios. Republican senators are now open to a corporate tax increase. Folks, this is a new and encouraging development. This is very interesting reporting from Axios. Now, I want to be clear, the Republicans are not going to want to increase the corporate tax rates from 21% to 28%, but there is an appetite to increase taxes on corporations. There indeed is an appetite to do this. Here's a very interesting quote from Lindsey Graham, the Republican senator from South Carolina. "I'm willing to do some things on the revenue front if they can do some things on the way the government works front." Very interesting comments. Graham also said this: "The way you do that is you sort of put some limit on write-offs. So it looks like the Republicans represented by the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and the influential Republican Senator Lindsey Graham are willing to budge if they can get some compromises elsewhere from the Democrats. And this is a comment from Mike Braun, who's a Republican from Indiana, Senator Mike Braun. He said, "I believe everybody should pay their fair share. I come from the world of small business, so I scratch my head when big corporations don't pay their fair share of taxes." Folks, this is indicating that there are certain Republicans who are willing to have corporations pay more, and this could be the beginning of a trend that starts to get even more support amongst the Republicans in the Senate. This is an encouraging sign. Another influential Republican senator, Senator Ted Cruz, a Republican from Texas, he is advocating a flat rate. This is what he said. Here's a quote from Ted Cruz. "I think the tax code is filled with loopholes and subsidies that aren't fair. The answer is not to eliminate every exemption and keep rates high. That's a massive tax increase. The answer is to eliminate the exemptions and lower rates." In the meantime, President Biden has been very busy. There he is. What's up, President Biden? The president actually quoted this study that you'll see on your screen right now. And by the way, we'll provide you with a link to the study in the description section below. And as we scroll down the study, I'll tell you what the president has been highlighting. The president has been highlighting this study from the left-leaning Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, showing that 55 corporations actually received $3.5 billion in tax rebates. So they actually received that by way of a rebate from the federal government instead of paying approximately $8.5 billion in taxes on approximately $40.5 billion in revenue. So what President Biden is saying is that these companies, which made well over $40 billion in revenue, were supposed to pay $8.5 billion in taxes, but instead they not only did not pay those taxes, they received $3.5 billion in tax rebates. Pretty incredible. Here's a comment, here's a quote from President Biden. "It's just not fair. It's not fair to the rest of the American taxpayers." And folks, on a final note, while the president is pushing for a 28% tax rate, it looks like Senate Democrats have already worked out an internal deal where they want a 25% tax rate. In other words, the tax rate is likely to go up from 21% to 25% on corporations. This is the deal that the Democrats have struck internally. There could be coordination between the White House where the president's like, "Hey, I'm going to shoot for 28. And if you guys agree at 28, it makes everyone look good." That could be what's going on behind the scenes, because politics is about timing, opportunity, tribalism, and perception. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Let me know what you think about this evolution from the Republicans, this big shift in their position, and whether you think a deal can indeed be struck. Because I believe that the country moves forward when the country is able to take the best ideas from the Republicans and the Democrats. Thank you so much for watching. Please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. That is how you can support our channel. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.